Have you ever walked into Maven's room, realized that you've looked at your Atlas tree and put it on Uber, and then said, well, today's the day, I'm just gonna one-shot Maven every phase, every step of the way, and I'm gonna clear this entire encounter in 60 seconds. Have you ever decided that you don't want a Magic Find an Affliction League and you're looking for something a little bit different? Have you decided that you maybe just want to try bossing? Do you think it's something that interests you or something that makes you, intrigued? Well, lately, I've been doing a ton of magic finding and I've wanted to try out bossing and just kind of do something a little bit different. You can see right now, we're pretty much just doing everything that we need to do to one-shot Maven, and we're pretty much having a really good time. And I'm able to talk to you guys, record this video, and be an Uber Maven and just kind of blow her up without any problems. Now, today I want to talk to you about the character that I've been playing. I've been playing a bossing type character, an Ice Trap Assassin, and it has been probably one of the coolest, funnest things that I've been playing outside of magic finding. Now you can see right now we are 1 minute and 8 seconds into Maven. Maven on Uber is dead, and we have gotten not a Nimbus, but Maven's dead. And just like that, here we are farming Maven and farming bosses. Now the same can be said for other bosses. This build actually really excels at killing Searing Exarch. It excels at killing Eater of Worlds. I am not the best at killing Eater. I don't actually like doing him. I don't think he's worth doing. People tell me he's worth doing. I don't like doing him. But as far as like everything else goes, if your timings are really good and you aren't like silly or dumb, you can pretty much, well, I guess I was dumb in this encounter, but you can pretty much just one tap this guy, just like Maven. We're in this fight 16 seconds. He's dead. We got our shield. Let me just make sure I'm on the right loot filter, and that's that. So today I want to bring to you guys the Ice Trap Assassin that I've been playing. Lately, I've been doing nothing but magic finding, and I've been really enjoying it. And the tornado shot magic finder has cost me a lot, an absolute ton. And I wanted to change it up a little bit. I wanted to farm the last roughly mirror worth of gear doing other things, and I've been able to do that while bossing. Now, you saw in the first 2 minutes of this video, I was able to walk into Maven and walk into Searing Exarch. We blew them up in 1 minute and 30 1 minute and 30 seconds total, and it's just overall been a really good time. Now, I'm going to go over all the gear. I'm going to showcase how to do it, and we're going to kind of go from there. Now, in the video today, I am using Mage Blood. This belt is actually infinite more damage, but we'll get there. So, what are we doing and how does it work and what's going on? We are playing an assassin. So we are a trickster, we're an assassin, we have the charm ascendancy, and pretty much all we're doing is we're taking Ice Trap, we're throwing them at the speed of light. All of the ice traps are going down. We place 17 traps, they explode, and then that is an extreme burst of damage that all happens simultaneously and just blows up our Uber boss. We are able to simultaneously have the damage happen because we're using a Forbidden Flame and Flesh combo for chain reaction that just pretty much allows everything to happen at the exact same time all together, which is like really cool. To make this happen, and what is going on is, I think POB says we're like hundreds of millions of Uber DPS, so essentially we can just kill the brain in the perfect frame. We can skip all the memory games, and if you do the rotation correctly, Searing Exarch dies as soon as he spawns. Same thing for Eater of Worlds. Now, I had mentioned I don't like doing Eater of Worlds. I like doing Searing Exarch, as some of the Forbidden Flames or Fleshes or whatever the red ones are like an absurd amount of money. Maven is an absurd amount of money, and overall it has been just really good and really profitable. Now, the gear itself, when I bought it, was roughly about 120 150 divines. You don't need all of the gear. You can skimp out a little bit. It might take 2 sets of traps to kill the boss. It might take a couple of portals, but you don't need to go as bananas, and you can increase your gear and you can kill the bosses faster and faster. The biggest downside to this character is it has like 400 health, so if you get sneezed on in another state, country, world, and space, you'll just die from things that you don't even know that killed you. I also don't recommend trying bosses that have phases, so I wouldn't try Sirius, I wouldn't try Uber Elder. I would just stick to like blowing up Maven and blowing up Searing Exarch, and for me, this has been a great build to play. Like, when I only have like a half an hour to play, I'll buy some invites, I'll kill some bosses really quick, and I'll hope to hit really good. Now, overall, the build goes like this. We are going to be using an Annihilating Staff, or Annihilating Light Quarterstaff. I didn't get a minus good roll for resistances, as I really didn't need it. I was more interested in the cast speed. This staff 6th length is 10 divs. You can get it unlinked for 1. If you don't know how to link it using tainted currencies, let me know in the comments down below. I'll actually walk you through it and make a little short on how to do it. But don't buy the staff linked for done for 10. Buy it for 1. Make it yourself with tainted currencies. It's not that hard. It's not that crazy, and it's way less expensive, as tainted jewelers are 100 to a divine and tainted fusings are 5 to a divine. The TLDR on how to do it, and I like actually show you really quick. I should actually show you guys. I have an armor. We'll take this one. Here's how you do this really quick. You bring it to your crafting bench. You type in the word 4. You click 4 sockets. You take your jeweler. You go 5. It goes 4. These are 50-50, and you go 6. Sometimes it'll take a little bit more. Sometimes it'll go 3, then 2. If it goes to 2, press the button, go back to 4. If it goes to 3, press the thing, go to 4. If it goes to 2, press 4. Same thing with this. We just press 4 linked and we click. If it goes 5, we're thrilled. If it goes 4, we click it again. If it goes 5, we're thrilled. If it goes 6, we're done. It's pretty much that simple. That simple. If it ever goes 4 to 3, click on 4 link again. Don't click one of these to go back to 4. Click on 4 here. This is infinitely cheaper. Now, I realized that I didn't have Awakened POE trade showing, so to re-showcase, the staff is 10 divs linked. Unlinked, it's 1. We link this for like a lot less. These are 5 to a divine. We use 2 of these, and we use 4 of these, so like a div, maybe. And now we have an 8 div chest. Profit. We use the staff very specifically for a couple of things. One, it's corrupted with increased attack speed, and it gives us triple damage with elemental skills. Ice Trap is an elemental skill, and our throwing speed of the trap is affected thanks to the gloves. The gloves give us the ability to throw, or a chance to throw up to 4 additional traps. It says increases and reductions to cast speed also apply to trap throwing speed. So you see right now with the gloves on, we throw these traps really, really, really fast. We can get to our 17 stack really, really, really quick. But if I were to take the gloves off and I were trying to throw the traps, it is a very noticeable difference. You can get the staff without attack speed to save a little bit of money. I really don't recommend getting it without attack speed. I would get the staff with 100% with attack speed. In the staff, we put our auras. We have a Hatred, an Enlighten 3, a Haste, a Skitterbots, a Bone Chill, and an Unbound Ailments. Awaken Unbound Ailments actually isn't too expensive. It's unleveled. It's 2.1 divs. Leveled, it's 3. A level 21 Hatred, 1 div, you know, not too shabby. Now, we mentioned the gloves. The gloves are the reason why we can throw things so fast. So you want to get the gloves. You can actually get the gloves corrupted with a curse. You can get the gloves corrupted with +1 gems. You can get the gloves corrupted with all kinds of things. I don't have the gloves corrupted. I could add more damage to the build by corrupting the gloves. I'm not going to bother. The build does everything they want. We have Arcanist Brand in it, LE Weakness, Frostbite, and our Stone Golem. Half the time, the Golem is dead. I forget to resummon him because I'm dumb and just kind of forget. And it's sometimes just a little bit of a pain to resummon him because I gotta like wait for mana, and then I gotta press the button, and then he gets summoned. I don't know. We just had Stone Golem in there to do some things, and I mean, like, I don't know. He's not even. I can't even do things. Right, because he's on the thing. He's on the brand. Yeah, I use the brand. The idea about the brand is to like curse the boss and like debuff him. It's only really needed on Searing Exarch. I forget to do it all the time. You know, my friends that are watching like Showdown, he's like, just curse the boss, please. You can actually just skip the whole Arcanist Brand thing if you get curses somewhere else. These gloves, in essence, though, they're like 100C. They're not really expensive at all. Mageblood, I had mentioned. I use Mageblood because I am too lazy to click the buttons instead. I just would rather not have to press Flask. I owned a Mageblood. I put a Mageblood on. It was easy. It was convenient. And this belt just gives us an additional power charge. We can get it corrupted with Hatred Aura effect. With the Hatred Aura effect, it's like a 2-div belt. You can get it without the Hatred Aura effect, but essentially the same thing happens. You wait for him to start talking. You press your Flask, you throw your things, you put your bear trap, and then he dies, and that's that. And then you get a Duelist Forbidden Flame Flesh. and then you hope it's money. Unlucky this time. But yeah, I mean, like, you can obviously kill this guy, you know, very easily without having the Mage Blood. Now, I know somebody's gonna be like, but you ran it white. The boss invitations don't scale loot, but we'll talk about that. Or they scale the currencies, but we'll talk about that later. So put a pin in it. It'll be in the video later. So yeah, so that's the weapon, the gloves, the belt. The big thing about the belt is it adds an additional power charge because we're stacking power charges on this build, and power charges give us a ton, and I mean a ton of damage. You know, we really want to take advantage of that and really just kind of have it do all of the good stuff that power charges give us. Now, we pair the belt with the Ralakesh boots. The Ralakesh boots give us the maximum number of endurance, power, and frenzy charges all the time ever. And since we're stacking power charges, we have a ton of everything. Now, as we have a ton of throwing speed, we get a ton of frenzy. As we have frenzy charges, we get throwing speed. Yes, that backwards. So if I take the boots off and I go to throw, you notice right away that our throwing speed is a lot slower. This is because the boots are giving us max frenzy charges equal to our power charges. And then you can see right away the very big difference in the throwing speed of the boots. I have the boots socketed with +2 minion gems. Originally, I was going to do the minion shenanigans. I was going to do the minion shenanigans with like the marionette and the puppet and put the aura on the puppet. And then I got lazy and stopped doing it. You don't need the corruption on the boots if you don't want to do the minion stuff. While doing Maven, the specters, they die because they're dumb and they die. You don't really need the specter stuff. But the boots are pretty straightforward. It's just inspiration, flame dash, divine blessing support, and zealotry. This is so that we can have zealotry on an aura. We can press zealotry and then we have it for 10 seconds. Because the bosses die so fast, and since you have to stack the traps in a specific time window, you just press zealotry, throw your traps, and then the boss dies. Our armor, we're going to be using Diala's. Diala's this league, once again, very, very, very cheap. You can get a Diala's linked for 7 divs, or you can get it unlinked for 3. I really recommend just linking it yourself, but if you have the currency and don't have the time, just buy the Diala's linked. As far as the sockets go, we have charge traps. This is going to be in green. We want to add quality to this as it gives us increased trap damage. This is really, really important. We're going to have a 2120 ice trap. This is actually not that expensive. It's 1 divine is 2120. We have trap and mine damage support. We have power charge and crit. The color of the socket for power charge and crit doesn't matter. We just need red sockets for ice trap, trap and mine, and power 4 and concentrated effect. And power 4 is a little bit pricey. It's like 5 divs right now. But you really want to get as high of a level of power as you can. The higher the level of power, the more damage you're going to be doing. And then we have concentrated effect. This is a 2020. This one, I could probably just get it awakened to do more damage, but just completely slipped my mind and didn't even think about it. Because, yeah, didn't really need it. All right, amulet, we're going to be using Badge of the Brotherhood. This gives us our maximum frenzy charges equal to our maximum power charges. We pair this with the boots. I was like thinking for a second. So the boots, like I said, mention that we have the maximum amount of power charges at all time and frenzy and endurance charges. So since we don't have modifiers to endurance charges, our endurance charges are 3. And since we have modifiers to frenzy charges, our frenzy charges are equal to our power charges. This is thanks to the Badge of the Brotherhood. So we have something like 3, 4, this would be 5. I think we have 9, 6, 7, 8 power charges. 9. No, that's minimum. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'd have 8 power charges. Yeah, 8. Unless you get like a Kalandra ring or like a fancy another ring, and then you get 8. But we have 7 power charges, so we have 7 frenzy charges. Yeah, that. Oh, we have another one here. We have 8. The build is just like this hodgepodge of things I feel like that are thrown together and just kind of work, and things die. Heat Shiver in this build still is pretty strong. It just gives you a lot of free extra damage. It's just a free damage, you know? Heat Shiver is still really good. I like Heat Shiver a lot. Heat Shiver with the Corrupt right now is about 7 divs. If you lose power charges, you will lose a ton of damage. The heat shiver is probably really important to get with the power charges. I really don't recommend skipping out on the power charges and the heat shiver. Just get the heat shiver with the power charges. It's really good. Our helmet, we have our vitality, our arrogance support, our bear trap, and our herald of ice. Now you're gonna notice if my face is in the way. Let me move myself over. You'll notice we're reserving a lot of life here, like a lot of life, and that our life pool is very small. And we want to make sure that we reserve life so that we're constantly on low life for pain attunement, so we get 30% more damage. That's what the arrogance support is for. And that's why we have the herald of ice and the vitality on the arrogance support. You see our life bar here. If I just take these off, I have an entire life bar. This covers about half my life bar. This covers a little bit of my life bar, and so forth and so on. Now, the rings aren't terrible. Now, I have right here a righteous fire for more damage inside of my unset ring. Unset rings fractured with cast speed right now are like pennies on the dollar. So you can get this ring relatively cheap. Crafting this ring was really easy. You just craft it, you hit it with an essence until you get dexterity. And once you have crit multi and dex, you're thrilled. You lock suffixes on the ring, veiled chaos, unveiled reduced mana cost of skills. And that's pretty much, it gives you the ability to have your ice trap cost so little and give you the ability to throw a ton of them. Now, the reason that pairs really well is we have this diamond flask that gives us reduced cost of mana skills. And without that, you see the cost of our trap is really expensive. So you want to really make sure that you get the reduced mana cost of skills and you the non-channeling craft on it. So if you have trouble with the ring, or you don't know how to craft the ring, or you need help crafting the ring, just leave a comment down below. I'll be more than happy to give you a more detailed explanation of how to do the ring. Or if you're just stuck and struggling, just ask. Don't hesitate to ask. I don't mind helping. Now, we mentioned power charges. Power charges are really important. They give you more damage. You can get any unique ring with power charges. If you don't have the ring with power charges, you'll just do less damage, which is, it's, what are you going to do? Like, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it, but you don't need it. Just like the Mage Blade, you don't need it. You can substitute other ways to get more damage. This ring will be majority of the cost of everything in the build. So if you can't afford it, just do it without it. You can see the rings, you can get any of them. It doesn't matter which one of these rings that you grab, but they are expensive. They are like, it kind of sucks to have to pay that, but you don't need to. You can see right now, I can throw in another invite. We'll still kill this boss just as fast without the ring. And it just becomes extra. Now, note, sometimes I do die doing these. I'm human. And sometimes I don't just accidentally one-shot him, but you can see right away, he dies, no problem, 15 seconds in and out. And Maven in itself, when we go into Maven, oh yeah, let me just show you. That was Uber. Maven's the same thing. When you go into Maven and you go to do the Maven encounter, Maven actually takes 50% less damage, so not having the ring is actually even better because she just takes naturally less damage. The Ubers have this like weird like damage window stuff and they take less damage and all this stuff, but this build does hundreds and hundreds of millions of DPS, so you really don't need, like, the extra power charges are really, really, really nice and they help, but you really don't need them, right? Like, it's there, it's extra, it's more, and if you can't afford to do it that way, just don't do it, right? Like, don't, earn up the money, and if you like the build and you want to progress it more, then go out and buy the ring. But you can see right now we're doing Maven, we've skipped the memory game phases, not a problem at all. And the extra damage from the ring, while really nice, doesn't really do or add too much extra. It doesn't give us survivability either, it just gives us more damage. But I mean, like you see, we just immediately killed Maven anyways. We're a minute and change into this fight and Maven's dead. Yeah. But this is the boss day, this is how it works, and that's the gear and the everything around it. Now, as far as the I click those on accident. As far as like the passive tree goes, we had mentioned that we are assassin. We take assassins so that we can get crit multi per power charge, so that we can get a ton of damage, and we get critical strike chance at maximum power charges. We're always at max power charges, so we're always just crit capped with tons of crit multi. We get another power charge here. I didn't even know this. So we're like 9 power charges. This is insane. Just, tons of critical strike chance, tons of power charges, always at max power charges. Critical strikes can't be reflected to us. We're not mapping anyways. It doesn't really matter. We take this node so that we do 20% more damage while there's only one rare unique enemy. So this is just 20% more damage. And then we're taking this for just 15% more damage and just more damage and Culling Strike. So the Assassin is pretty mandatory. You just get crit multi, crit chance, crit multi, you know, power charge, whatever, power charge, crit multi, crit chance, the whole 9 yards. We're going to be pairing it with the Warden. Primalist with the Primalist. Yes, the Primalist. We're pretty much getting these charms. Now, these charms are expensive because we get it with strength and int. You can get them with less strength and int to cover up the difference. The reason why these charms are important is 2 reasons. One, they give you crit multi per power charge, and they give you strength and int. It is up to you to figure out how much extra strength and int you need while you're doing this to equip your gear. Now, for me, I got strength and int on these at first because I didn't know what I was going to be doing. As if I take off my mage blood, you see, and I put this belt on, I'm short strength. So if you can't afford the mage blood and you want to do it this way, the cheaper route, you're going to need strength, dex, and int to equip all of your gear. So you can see I take off the expensive parts. I take off the mage blood, I take off the ring, and I'm short stats on my gear. So I can make it up with these charms. So make sure that you spend some time in POB or looking at your character or mathing it out to how much strength and int you need to make sure that you can equip your gear depending on the budget that you're using and working with to buy what you need to buy. Now I have strength and int and power charge on these. This third one just gives me power charges as I didn't need the extra strength and int. I actually managed to get the remainder of the strength and int that I needed out of that which was taken. This one showed up with strength, int, and crit multi. These really don't showcase very well in Path of Awaken POE trade. So let's just go strength and int. I think it's this one. Yeah, this, when I bought mine, was not this expensive. I got mine for like 6 divs. So, you know, if you don't need the strength in it here because you get it other places, then you're okay. I make up a lot of mine here because when I bought my that which was taken, it was cheaper than getting the charms. But if you don't need the strength in it here because you have the mage blood or you have other sources of strength in it, and you just get the multi-charge with power, these are like relatively cheap. They're like 4 divs. Now you could skip out on that which was taken, but 4% crit multi per power charge at like 9 power charges, 36% crit multi, that's a lot of damage. So I wouldn't really skimp out on it. And that's the ascendancies. Overall, in terms of like where we're going with the tree, we're taking a very generic assassin tree where we get all the power charges and we get all the damage nodes and we get some of the trap nodes, and pretty much the tree is like explanatory. We take Pain Attunement for 30% more spell damage when on low life. That's why we reserve the life. We're grabbing a Watcher's Eye for crit multi while affected by anger. I don't even have anger. So like this was just extra. At one point I had anger. I don't even have anger. The only thing that this Watcher's Eye is offering me is critical strikes penetrate with Zealotry because we have Zealotry. You can get a better Watcher's Eye with crit multi while affected by hatred. I forget where I get anger from at one point. I think I had anger on an aura, and then I had hatred with the Spectre, and then I didn't do the Spectre, so I just never changed the Watcher's Eye. I think that's what happened. I don't know. It's been like 72 hours of playing this character and figuring it out. The critical strikes penetrate elemental resistance is really cheap. It's like 100C or a divine, depending on the rolls. Up here, we have a passive or a large cluster with Sadist, Blanket of Snow, Widespread Destruction. These are a divine. We have our Forbidden Flame and Flesh for Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction has been going up in price. The red side right now is 25. The blue side is 9 and 10 right now. So while recording, we're using a medium cluster for Guerrilla Tactics and Saboteur or Sabotage, Surprise Sabotage. This one is 120C. So you're looking at 1 div here, 120C here, and then you're looking at like 35. So this is another major cost for the build. You need Chain Reaction. You can do without the belt, you can do without the ring, you can do the substitutions there, but you need Chain Reaction. So like if you're gonna put this build together and you're gonna do everything that you need Chain Reaction. So you can like skip out on this, You can skip out on this, but you need chain reaction. Like, you need it. That it's just a thing. It happens. You need it to skip the brain phases, and we'll talk about Maven again in a minute. Same thing over here. Blanket Snow, widespread destruction. We have Guerrilla Tactics, Surprise Saboteur, or Sabotage for these. So the cluster jewels themselves are relatively cheap. As far as the other jewels in the build go, you know, we have a third one down here. We have that which was taken, which we talked about. The Guerrilla Tactics, Surprise Sabotage. Before anybody says anything, we don't care about what the back note is. So disorienting display, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the back note is. So like, as long as the back note is disorienting display or widespread destruction, it doesn't matter. Both clusters are divine. The other jewels are triple crit multi-jewels. So these jewels can get expensive. They're like 8 divs each, 9 divs each. To buy them, crafted and done. You just get them with crit multi and they're done. You can buy fractured crit multi, any of these fractured, and make them yourselves. So like you can see that's what these guys are doing, right? They're getting global critical strike multiplier, and then they're just harvest reforge cold, or they're using death fossils, because death fossils give you critical strike chance, and then they're just crafting their own. If you don't know how to craft them and 8 divs is too expensive and you want to talk about crafting them, leave a comment down below and I'll give you the step-by-step of like, buy jewel, put in harvest, click reforge, buy jewel, grab fossil, click on fossil. But yeah, you want one here, one here, one here, and one here. So you need 4 of them. Now this one's a little bit different. This jewel, I picked up synthesize for reduced mana cost of skills. The synthesized part of it, it helped a little bit. You didn't really need it. I was kind of like toying around with the idea of it. Same thing for like the mana reservation efficiency side of it. We still have 80 unreserved mana. Like, so if I take this jewel out, you can see I actually didn't need the extra unreserved mana from the armor on it. I was just toying with different things. You can get a synthesized jewel, reduced mana cost of skills, and just craft it for double or triple crit multi. You can just get a, you know, a fractured reduced mana cost of skills and craft it for crit multi. The reduced mana cost of skills is really nice. It helps a lot with the mana cost of everything. If you get it, you're great. If you don't, you don't. Like, you could just take this out. This jewel is going to be a little bit more expensive because of the synthesize on it. You know, it just starts at a 1 divine base, and then crafting it yourself can just become a little bit of a pain, you know, if you want to do it. Do you need it? Is it a problem? Will it make things more difficult? No, your cost is 28 mana right now. If I put this in, it's 26. So like the difference in terms of overall mana is just very, very, very little. You can see that when I go into these fights and I throw down all of my traps and stuff, you know, I can still just almost one tap him and it's not a problem at all. So like, you can get it, it's extra, you don't need it. Outside of that, everything else is pretty standard. We take Eldritch Battery to reserve our life as energy shield so we can throw our traps. We're getting a Militant Faith for Dominus. This is really important. You need this to be Dominus. Dominus is really important. Dominus gives us more power damage, or more spell damage per power charge. We have a ton of power charges, so this is more damage and more damage and more damage. So like, you need this to be Dominus. This also gives us reduced mana cost of skills per devotion and increased non-curse aura effects. So this is a very big damage boost. You can see if I take this out, my ice trap costs a lot more mana. If I put this back in, my ice trap costs a lot less mana. You want to reduce the amount of mana that your ice trap costs as much as you can, especially if you're not using a mage blood. If I take the mage blood off, you can see that my ice trap is 70 mana. If I take this jewel out, you can see that my ice trap is 77 mana. And if I take this out, my ice trap is 79 mana. But if I press the flask to reduce the cost of the mana skills, it goes down to 35. So the more that you have stacking on top of each other to help the cost of the skill, the easier it'll be to stack the traps and kill the boss. Just something to think about. And then we take a large thread of hope. You don't need it with corrupted blood. I picked this up day 1 of the league for 5 divs. You don't need it with corrupted blood. You do need a large ring. The large ring in itself is about 4 divines. The large ring allows you to get points here and here. Now, you don't need the large ring if you're willing to level more. I am leveled 97 and I wanted this. You can go 98, 90, 97 into 98 into 99 and then put the points here. You could do that as well. So like if you don't want the large Thread of Hope and you want to just sit in 5 ways, you can go 98, 99 and then have all of these too and just, you know, do other things with this 1 point. It's really up to you. Like there's flexibility. You don't need to take those. You could put the points elsewhere. Where else would you put the points for more damage? I don't know. I haven't looked. We could figure it out though if you'd like. And then lastly, with my amulet, before I forget, I allocated charisma, which is over here. This gives me more RMR. The reason I have charisma instead of a more damage or discipline of slaughter, because discipline of slaughter is another thing, is I didn't have an Awaken 4. If I had an Awaken 4 for wherever the heck my Awaken goes, if I had an Awaken 4 and I had more RMR, I would be able to change the amulet anoint. Because if I take this off, you see I can't fit my auras, and if I put this back on, I could fit my auras. So that's just the reason for that. But otherwise, this is the character, this is the build, and that's how it works. Now, I had mentioned that I was running these white. The reason why we run these white is we're really just hunting the forbidden fleshes or forbidden flames. We're hunting the amulets, and we're hunting the good stuff like that, and like the boss drops and the uniques. From what I've been told, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the boss drops are not affected by altering the quality on this. So when I run them in stream for people, I will happily in stream, where is it? I will alch them, I will corrupt them, and I will run them. The extra item quantity and rarity, from my understanding, only affects the amount of orbs of conflict that fall and eldritch currency. Or I guess orbs of conflict from Maven. So all the eldritch currency that falls. So if you are a person who is not mapping and you want to get eldritch currency, yes, you should like alch and corrupt and do all that stuff. As far as like what mods you can do and what mods you can't do, I just alch and vow all of them and don't really think. I haven't really found mods that have been too much of a problem for me. Everything's just been pretty simple. You know, you just kind of like go in and blow everything up. Now, bossing it itself is a gamble. I want to close on this, and I want to make this the last major point that I'm going to make. When you do these bosses and you buy these invitations, these Mavens in bulk are like 3 divs a piece. The Searing Exarchs, they're about 2.5, 2.7 in bulk. So when you buy these, note you are gambling. If you hit and you hit, you will hit strong. If you miss and you miss, you will just miss. I have gone dry on runs. I have hit on runs. It is very hit or miss. So keep that in mind. Also, when you're doing the Maven and you get to the brain stage, you have to stack your traps just right, just fast enough to skip the memory game. So how that works is as soon as he does this and he blows it up, you press your stuff, you throw your traps, and you have to have all 17 traps down before he lands. As he lands, the traps will go off and they will just throw him into the air and you will just skip the memory game. You do need to do a certain amount of damage to skip the memory game, and you do need to dodge everything that Maven does. Otherwise, she will just kill you, and that's just it, and there is nothing you can do about it. But then, you know, you just farm some Maven. Now, I've mentioned I have made a mirror doing this. I paid off my Tornado Strike character running bosses, both for myself and for players, and it has been very profitable, but there has been dry streaks. So you have to be okay with the dry streaks. Otherwise, like, that's the character. I'm going to go do some more bossing. I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. Being able to kill everything in a minute and not think has been great. But if you try it and you like it, let me know. If you try it and you hate it, let me know. If there's a cool build that you want to see or something that you think I would like, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. I'm always looking for fun new things to try out, and I'm looking for the next cool thing to try. So, but for now, friends, I'm going to get this video out to you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.